Hi guys. So, what if I told you that you can literally slow down time? And not just time, but there could be changes in the length and the mass too. Yes, that's actually true. Well, some of you might even know about it, but I'm referring to as a general audience, so I think a lot of people are unaware about it. So, it's mostly about the special theory of relativity given by Einstein, and it's one of the most fascinating things in all of physics. And beforehand, I'm telling that I'm just a high school student, so basically, I'm not that deep into all of this stuff. I'm just a curious kid, you can say. I don't know the actual reasoning or the mathematical framework behind it. I don't know the true logic, or I think I would say that I can visualize some stuff clearly, and I'm just a little more curious. So it's completely possible that I might mess up. Do ignore some of my mistakes if there are any. So changes in length, changes in mass, and time dilation, all of these are actually true. These are actual phenomena in our physical universe, and it's mind-blowing to say the least. This channel is going to be science-based, so we are starting from now on. So now we'll talk more scientifically. So today we are gonna explore how these absolute physical things, that is like time, the amount of time passing, or the mass of something, or the length, all of these changes based on the relative motion of objects. These are relativistic effects, and this comes into play even if you are moving at 1 kilometer per hour relative to something. All of this comes under the special theory of relativity, and it tells that anything moving relative to another object would have these relativistic changes in these absolute things, or what we generally think are absolute. These things aren't really absolute, we just feel that these are absolute. Our intuition is drawn to be thinking that these things are absolute, because to actually see these changes we actually need extreme velocities. Because sure, there are changes with low velocities too, but they are too small to be seen or perceived by humans. For example, if I say that here I have 1 unit of length, this is 1 unit of length in our universe. So if I take this, and I would always say that this is 1 unit of length or 1 unit of distance in our universe. Now we would think that this can never change in the magnitude. If I'm referring to the length, it would remain 1 unit, but that's not how it works. If this thing starts moving relative to something else, then this thing would get a little shorter than the object that was at rest. It's not moving right now. Why would it? It doesn't have any kinetic energy, and even if I gave it some, it would stop. Why? Because of the friction. The friction took off its energy and converted it into heat. The entropy of the universe increased. So that's all the length. If I take for example 99% the speed of light, at that speed the Lorentz factor, which is the relativistic factor, which just tells the ratio of how much the relativistic effects are in work. So at 99% the speed of light, the Lorentz factor comes out to be 7.02. So take it as 7. So see, for example, this was the object and this was moving at 99% the speed of light, and there was something, say this phone, this is at rest, and this was moving at 99% the speed of light. Then just think that here is a clock and I started a stopwatch here. So 1 second would pass on this, like both the clocks started simultaneously, and if this is moving at 99% the speed of light, 1 second passed for this, and he looked at this, remove the light delay, because if he's looking from here through a telescope, then there would be a delay, the speed of light. So if we ignore that and we look what the instantaneous values would be, then When 1 second passed here, then 7 seconds would have passed for this, even though they started simultaneously. And let me turn that off. So keeping that aside, let's compare. So the Lorentz factor works for all the three things: time dilation, length contraction, and inertia increase, which is referred to as mass increase sometimes, but it's not actually true because the mass doesn't generate from nothing. The inertia, the resistance to change in motion or changing the state of rest or motion, increases. So at 99% the speed of light with a Lorentz factor of 7, the inertia of this object would increase 7 times. So it would take 7 times more energy to accelerate it to the same velocity, and the time experienced by it would be 7 times slower. And the last thing is the length contraction. So think at 99% the speed of light, this would be covering like right around 290,000 kilometers or something like that each second. So if it's moving like this at 99% the speed of light, then so if we take a look according to that, then when this is moving at 99% the speed of light, then the 93 billion light year universe would be shrink down 7 times, which would be like about 13 billion light years across. Yes, something like that. So the 93 billion light year universe would be just 13 billion light years for this. That's the length contraction. So, and we take our observable universe, the Hubble sphere, which is said to be about 93 billion light years in diameter. So as I told that this is moving at 99% the speed of light, and say it had 7 meters in front of it, then for it that would be 1 meter, not 7, because the Lorentz factor comes out to be 7 times, so the length is contracted by 7 times. So the 7 meter is turned into 1 meter equivalent for this. For something at rest, that distance would still be 7 meters, but for this moving at 99% the speed of light, that 7 meters would convert to 1 meter. And that's actually true. And as we approach the speed of light, as we get very, very, very close to the speed of light, then what happens is the Lorentz factor starts to increase incredibly fast. Like at the speed of light, everything stops. The mass turns infinite, or you might say the inertia. Inertia is a better term. So the inertia turns infinite, the length is contracted by infinite times, the length gets absolutely zero. The time passing for the object is also zero. If an object is moving at the speed of light, then it experiences no time, not even an instant. It moves from here to here instantly, or from one part of the universe to the other end 93 billion light years instantly. Like not even that instant. Even before the instant began, it comes from the point 0 to 93 billion light years instantly within 0 time. No time passed for this. The length of the universe gets 0. The time passing for it becomes 0. The inertia gets infinite if it had some mass. If it didn't have any mass, then as I told that mass cannot be generated from nothing, so anything which doesn't have any mass is always traveling at c. C is the speed of light. So like, yes, so if it had some mass, the inertia would have been infinite. And that is the first reason that why something with mass can never approach the speed of light, because the inertia gets infinite. It would take an infinite amount of energy to accelerate even an electron or any neutrino or any particle with even a slight amount of mass. Like any particle with even a very, very, very small amount of mass would take infinite amount of energy to get accelerated to the speed of light. So that's why we say that no mass can ever travel at the speed of light. It can get very close but never touch it. That's the crazy thing. Like, to be honest, This thing, if say it was traveling at say 99.99999%, like just slightly below the 299,792,458 meters per second, say it was traveling just 1 meter per second lower than the speed of light, then the Lorentz factor would be insanely high. This moving for just a second could be 100,000 or even a million years for something at rest. Like a million years would have passed for this, when like this thing is moving at almost the speed of light. It moved for just a single second, and here's an object at rest. So for this, just a second passed away, but for this, maybe 1,000 Earth years or a million Earth years or even a billion. That depends upon the Lorentz factor that would come out at that speed. And the Lorentz factor is 1 over under root 1 minus v squared by c squared. V is the velocity with which you are traveling and c is the speed of light. So it's basically a ratio, and it's incredible. It shows the ratio of length contraction, time dilation. It tells the ratio of the relativistic effects, time dilation, length contraction, and mass increase, which is the inertia increase. Even I refer to it as the mass increase mostly. Well, to be honest, it's incredible that we humans, being like animals, just looking for food and trying to be safe from other animals surviving, we had some ancestors which were curious, who thought about the world differently, and those started leading our world. Those got the different ideas. Those people are the real heroes of humanity. They saw the world with a different perspective. They questioned the world, where 99.99% humans were just busy killing animals and feeding their stomachs. There were some other people which were thinking about this entire physical universe with a different perspective, and they came up with different things. They explored, they were curious, and that's why curious people are the best. Only great thinkers bring great change. That's true. And that's why everyone should be a great thinker. Even if you are not changing anything, still there are a lot of things. There's a deep self-satisfaction if you think deeply about something. There's a deep self-satisfaction and a fascination with the world. So it's incredible if you are thinking like that. And that's it for this video. I would love to get the feedback, and I would like to know on what topic should I speak next. So that's it for this video. All of you guys, take care. Bye bye.